Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, this one is more about counterfeits or clones, and my thoughts on that, because I watched a video from a guy's new channel. I mean, he's only got like 200 something subscribers, but it was called Blades on a Budget. That's his channel. I'll put a link to it. I'm not saying you should subscribe or not subscribe. I'm just telling you this is where I got the information from. But he buys a lot of counterfeit. I call them counterfeit knives. Some people call them clones. I call them counterfeits because clones gets misconstrued with another thing. Now, in plant life, a clone is like you take a cutting of a mother plant and you put it in the ground and it grows roots. Not all plants can do that, but some trees and stuff like mesquite trees can do that. And you can grow another tree right out of it. Looks just like the other one. And if you tested it genetically, it would be the same genetics. I mean, it came from the mother plant. What I mean is, for like, the video I saw, he had a Sage 5 Spyderco that he bought from Temu for $25, and I'll get into the reasoning behind it and everything. But he was looking at it and he was checking it out and saying that it was, I think I didn't get completely to the end of the video because it kind of inspired me into doing this one, because I started thinking about it. Because my experience with it was, I first started hearing about these when Paddy's potato peelers bought some from AliExpress or something like that. I think it was a Benchmade bug out. And let me get the terms down. What I consider a counterfeit is some company that takes a brand, and that what they're trying to do is they're trying to copy. They're trying to copy exactly this knife. Let's say the Sage 5s, or Spyderco. This one happens to be the Sage 5. The one he had happened to be a Sage 5, but it was like blue. Now, I don't agree with that, because counterfeiting is, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make the pictures look the same. Not necessarily the materials or the construction. This one's kind of dirty, as you can see. I carry it a lot. That's a picture of a dirty knife, well used. But that's their main thing. It's like that Sunday in the comic section. Can you tell the difference between these two pictures? It's pretty simple to do once you get one. Compare it side by side. You're going to find little differences. And my thought on that is, first off, don't get the impression that I'm acting holier than thou, because I did buy a Benchmade bug out counterfeit from a Chinese site. I don't remember which one it was. I did it once in my life, so I'm not getting down on people that do this and believe in it and stuff like that. You do what you want. I'm not passing judgment on here. Like I said, this is a rant, this is a ramble. I just give my opinions on stuff. It's just my opinion, It's just me. I'm not anybody super special, but there's a difference between an inspired by. See, this is the Dozier. Now, in no way is it a clone or a copy or a counterfeit of the Benchmade bug out, but it puts its own twist to it. And that's what Gonzo would do on a lot of stuff like this. Because, for example, this is the Rat 2. They'll counterfeit these too, but usually what counterfeits are trying to do is they're usually going after an expensive model. Like this one was, I think I paid like $130 for it when I got it. You can get the copy that the guy had. It was like 25 bucks. Now the Benchmade bug out that I bought, just wanted to see. I didn't have a bug out to compare it with, but what my reasoning was, I wanted to see, do I even want a bug out? You know, I wanted to see, do I want something that lightweight with a blade, you know, and all this other stuff, an axis lock. Now Gonzo does their version. Now this one also is dirty, dirty knife. There you go. But it's different. As you can see, I mean, they're almost identical. You can tell I spilled something. This was in a box. So this is, I think I spilled a drink and it just followed the line of knife. I was cleaning it up at first when I wanted to do this, but I thought, oh, well, you can see a dirty knife because I use and abuse my knives. All right, so these are very similar, but they have different locking mechanisms. And this one doesn't, and then nowhere does it say Rat on it or Ontario Knife Company or anything like that. You know, they got their own logo. Now Spyderco, I don't know where I put it. It's down here. Oh yeah, here it is. Spyderco knew that this was going to happen with a lot of their knives, and they thought, well, all right, if you want something inexpensive but still has our name on it, and still, you know, is associated with us, we're going to come out with the Bird line. And this one is like a copy of the Dragonfly or something. It doesn't have the circle hole in it, you know, so you won't think it's exactly the same. Now my issue with buying counterfeits and everything, my concern about that is you're devaluing, you're helping to devalue the company. Let's say Benchmade, for example. If this was a bug out, we're gonna have to use this one as a bug out counterfeit example, even though it's not. This is a K-bar, you know, Dozier. It's made in Taiwan. All right, so what's the disadvantage? You know, everybody wants to save money. I understand that, you know, but when you're doing that, like I said, inadvertently, you're contributing to the devaluation of that knife. If you went ahead and sold it or gave it away later on and didn't inform the person that it was a counterfeit, because sooner or later somebody's going to get it that doesn't know that it's a knockoff. They think it's the original thing. And it's the same way with money. You know, it's just like when World War II, the opposing sides would counterfeit each other's money just to devalue it, because it's just, you know, well, you know, money is a different situation, but still, clones and counterfeits, the disadvantage to those are, like I said, it's like an artist trying to copy a picture, you know, like a Rembrandt or something. You know, he's trying to make it look the same. It's not authentic. It's not done by that artist. You know, if that's important, and art and painting and stuff, that's important. You know, and knives, it's not. What's important is, I can guarantee you this is S30V steel. Why? Because Spyderco guarantees it. And this is a real Spyderco. It was made in Taichung. The copy he found it said Taichung on it, you know, so they didn't quite do it exactly right. I mean, there's little differences you can find. And Paddy caught a lot of flack for doing that on his video, but he was just saying he was doing it for the same reason why I did the bug out, was to see, I wanted to spend I was willing to spend $25. Now you can go on Amazon and get complete, what I call clones, not counterfeits, clones of the bug out that look identical almost to it, and in almost every way. There's little subtle differences. They may have, you know, like some straight pieces through here, non-knurled, you know, like little slashes, and it'll have the name of the company on it, like Huichang Wang Ti or something, you know, on it right there. And they'll tell you it's HCR13 MOV or something like that, you know, it's the blade steel. Now those are a little bit different. They're not counterfeits, but they're copies. I mean, they're trying to do a copy. The counterfeits, like I said, you have to go through it. And I looked at that bug out one, and man, there was very minor differences from what I could tell from just watching videos of people that had a real bug out. And then there were other videos that had been done on that. You know, the foam is slightly different. The printing may or may not be off. But I mean, a lot of times these boxes of stuff are made in China. And in many cases, the knife that's being copied was also, you know, made in China before. You know, either by the company officially or whatever. But you know what Spyderco is trying to do with their bird family is offer you, you know, a less expensive steel. It still cuts, you know. The people that buy the counterfeits or whatever, if it says on it D2 or S90V or you know, whatever they want to print on there, all they're trying to do is impress you with the looks of it. They're not standing behind it. Now, you can get, I'm not saying that they're not worth the value. It's just that morally and ethically, I don't agree with counterfeits, even though I've done it. You know, I'm not that moral. I'm not that ethical on stuff. I've done it before, but I gave mine away, and I told the guy it's a counterfeit. He didn't care. He you know, because he didn't have a knife. He had some El Cheapo thing he was using, and that was a lot better than what he had. And so, you know, I gave it to a friend. I didn't give him the box and everything else, just because I didn't think about it, but I would have, you know. I leave the moral stuff up to you. Whatever, you know, if I did something like that, and I know the guy, like I said, he's a friend. But anyways, that's all my thing on about it. You do what you want to do. The brands, the thing is, the construction is probably different. They're not going to have the same construction usually. If it works, if it holds up, you know, like the main thing is the steel hardenable, and what's the Rockwell on it? Is it hard enough to hold an edge long enough for what you want it to do? You know, or if the heat treatment is good and the steel is good, then it all comes down to construction. How well did they do it? They had to save money somehow, right? Now I know a lot of these are going on their brand name, Spyderco, Benchmade. A lot of them, a lot of that extra money that you got goes towards the brand just because they can get away with it. They can charge more because they've established, you know, a reputation and everything. The problem with the counterfeit is if there's anything goes wrong with it, you just throw your money away. I mean, so say it's $25. If anything goes wrong with that thing, if it chips or whatever, you're not going to be that disappointed. You're not going to be as disappointed as if you bought the real thing and the exact same thing happened. Like, I haven't had any issues with. I love this knife. As you can tell, I like to play around with it. It's one I'm carrying right now today. Just I'm doing rotation on it and everything. This one originally came in AUS-8, which is a great steel too. There's nothing wrong with it. I just got this one because, I don't know, I was into the D2 thing at the time. D2 holds an edge a little bit better than AUS-8. It just depends on the heat treatment. You know, D2 has a narrower parameter and everything. 440C is a great steel. I like that. I was trying to clean it up. Look at all this gunk. For those of you that you know, don't like a dirty knife, I was trying to clean this off before doing this, and I spilt a bottle of alcohol that I had on the floor. Luckily, it's rubbing alcohol, but still, I just decided, I'm just going to film it dirty. We're going to have a dirty knife. But, like I said, it's up to you. If you want to save money, you know, go ahead. I don't like counterfeit knives and stuff because all they're trying to do is get the appearance past you. They're not necessarily trying to make a good knife or durable knife. And if anything happens to it, you've thrown your money away. It's kind of like if you got some cheap gasoline. I don't have to worry about this with the electric scooter and stuff, but it used to be if you got some gasoline and it had water in it, like the storage tanks were bad and water had seeped in there and condensation or whatever, and you thought, wow, sometimes that just happens, but other times it's kind of like they knew it. They watered it down. It's like watered down drinks, watered down whiskey. Water's cheap and everything. You can't really tell when it's mixed in with other stuff, but after a while you'll be able to tell, yeah, that was watered down. In a vehicle, it's going to make your car run bad. You won't notice it at first because you're still using the original fuel that you had. Your gas tank wasn't completely empty. It has to work its way down, but down the road, you start noticing, oh man. I remember more than once that happened to my dad. And he put some stuff in there. I think there's some additives you can do that will remove the water from the tank, and get your car running again. But how good was it? How much did that save you? When you got into all that trouble. And again, when a knife costs you that little, you're not expecting that much out of them. Now, yeah, I can go ahead and sell me. I know there's a lot of cases where people bought like case knives or whatever, and they turned out to be bad. Name the company, and you can find some story where somebody had a bad issue one, or somebody just doesn't like them. They think they're overpriced or whatever. That's fine. Again, with trying to be in the knife world where it's kind of like an addiction sometimes, when you really get into it. If you get into the latest flipper, then you think, this is going to be perfect, this is what I want, and then somebody will come out with something else, and then a lot of other channels start reviewing it, and again, if it's kind of like propaganda. If you hear something over and over again, if a lie is repeated over and over again enough times, people will believe it as the truth. Some people, not all people, we can't fool everyone, but some people get susceptible to that. And if you didn't have the exact same thing, like if you've never seen a bug out before, and you got one of the clones, or the counterfeits of it, man, you would think you had a bug out. They're just like minor differences, and it probably cuts and works well, And after a while, you might say, why are they charging that much money? Why are the original companies charging that much money? Well, because they have to stand behind they have to have a reputation. They have to honor warranties and everything else. A knockoff brand from Temu or whatever, what are you going to do? They might refund your money. They might give you another one. But I don't know. I don't know what they do with that. But still, to me, you're basically supporting an industry designed to devalue the original one. The way around that is now, if you want to get a Spyderco or a Benchmade or whatever, you have to get it from known, reputable dealers. If you get it off eBay, good luck on that, because that's the problem with it, If somebody can buy something that's worth, an original one is worth $130, and they can get it for $25, what's the temptation? To go on eBay if you have no morals or ethics other than I want to make the most profit I can, and I don't care that I'm ripping people off, and sell it for like $95, not quite $100. Look like a possible discount or whatever. Look how much money you're making. You're making, almost $75 profit off that one transaction. If you get enough suckers, I'm not encouraging this. Like I said, I don't like it. The same thing is like secondary market on GEC knives. They're not counterfeits. It's just that the people that want to do stuff for a profit, instead of buying one for themselves to have or give away, they buy like a dozen or however many they can get. And then immediately they go on to eBay and they at least double what they paid for it. I guess that's capitalism, But I don't agree with it. I don't think it's right. And I don't buy GEC knives anymore just because of that. That's my moral thing on it. Is when I first started getting into GEC knives, they were available at the dealer. You didn't have to wait in line. You didn't have to have a special handshake. You didn't have to know a bunch of people or whatever, or get referred, or I don't know what it is. It's almost like a cult, and I don't want to have anything to do with it. If you've got a product and you want to sell it to me. If it runs out and there's a high demand for it, expand your factory, you're making enough money. You're turning down possible profit. I think they found a business model that works for them. I know it's, I'm talking GEC. They're not listening to me. But still, I refuse to play that game. I'm not going to go to the secondary market and encourage somebody to rip other people off by doubling their profit off something. What they're doing basically is they're getting a free GEC if they do it that way. They buy one for themselves. They put another one on eBay for double the price. They get the price of the original one plus the one they sold. You do it enough, you pay for your own knife. Again, I'm not encouraging what I consider like criminal behavior. It's probably at minimal, morally and ethically questionable. But like I said, you do what you want to do. I made no profit off the one I got, and it saved me money basically because I found out I'm not particularly impressed with axis locks. I'm not a big fan of them. I'm not a big fan of flippers, thumb studs. It's okay. They're all right. It's just not for me. It's just not what I want. So I save myself money by not spending a bunch of money on something I wouldn't like. A lot of times if you get one, you say, you know what? That's pretty good. Maybe I like this bug out and everything. It's lightweight, does everything I want it to do. I'm going to go ahead and get one. I'm going to go ahead and throw the money down on the original one. So in a way, the counterfeit encouraged someone to buy the real thing because they knew it was a counterfeit, but they wanted to get the real thing just maybe to check the differences and see if it's worth it. And so either way, the company made a sale that they might not have sold. So like I said, it's kind of a gray area. For me, I can understand the lure of wanting to get an inexpensive knife that works. It doesn't necessarily have to be. Let's say you got one of these that was in 440C or something like that, some steel. That's why I don't mind Gonzo and stuff like that, as they got a company, they got a reputation. Even those $25, if anything happens to it or you don't like it, breaks or whatever, and whatever their warranty is, they've got a certain amount of warranty. It's not like a lifetime or anything. It's not an SE warranty. I had to stick that one in there. SE. Yeah, these get copied too. Like I said, any knife that's expensive, you could find a Chinese or some kind of clone of it out there, And all knives are inspired by other knife designs. Eventually, there's very few original, real things happening in the world. Most of it has been done before, and people are looking at other designs and say, hey, I could do something like that, but you know what? I don't like an axis lock. I like a back lock or whatever. I like the shape, the blade shape, the length, the lightweight. This one's actually sturdier than a bug out. But I'm going to go with a mid lock, mid back lock, instead of that. And it still has thumb studs on it, but this one I like because I'm in no desire to speed flick it, I don't. When I carry this one, I'm not trying to impress anybody, Oh, look, what's that? Wow, isn't that impressive? That's kind of fun to do. Like I said, I like this as my fidget knife, a lot of times. I just have that there. But for practicality, that's why I stopped doing a lot of this. I'm finding fixed blades come in more handy, like for cutting up meat and stuff like that. Imagine, this is just pocket length Well, this one over here. This is just pocket lint and stuff in here. But imagine if that was like chicken blood or anything. I mean, you just have to get a garden hose and wash it off. This pretty easy to wipe off with a rag, you know. I've cut up chicken recently with this thing, and skinning off fat, cutting chicken off the bone and everything. It gets greasy, you know, and everything, but grease, you know, doesn't hurt. $10.95. Your micarta handles may get a little greasy and everything, but much easier to clean than a folder. Much easier to clean a fixed blade than a folder. Sturdier. You don't have to worry about locking mechanism. You don't have to worry about deployment. See where I'm going with this? Even though it's, you know, larger than most of these. Like I said, the convenience is speed. You pull this guy out, it's ready to go. That's why I like this little loop. I know the Azula 2 has it. I used the Workman 204 on cutting up chicken and everything. It's basically supposed to have the same blade shape. I thought it had too much of a downward curve, but I put this up against it, and it basically has the same thing. That's another. That's a copy. Let me get it out here. See, like this is a copy of an Azula 2, but it's not a counterfeit. It's not a clone. You know, I kind of would call this a clone because it's trying to imitate it in every way other than saying, here we are, different blade steel, right? This is actually the SE sheath. I use this sheath on the Azula because it just snaps in better. This one still works, friction fits, but I like the sheath at the Kydex, you know. This is a polymer. It's okay, you know. It's okay. So, yeah, an Azula 2 would cost you 75, almost $100. This thing was like $25. To me, I don't think I'm gonna get an Azula 2. You know, maybe if I get rich one day, you know, or lavish. Channel takes off like crazy, get 1 million viewers and everything for some reason, and all that. Then I could afford one, but I mean, you know. In the meantime, this works fine for me. I like the longer handle length. I may get one, you know, just because of the SE warranty and everything else. I like SE. I want to support a company that has a good warranty, and even though a lot of people consider it overpriced, I like supporting American companies when I can. It's because I'm, you know, an American. But anyways, there you go. Peppy has still not flown away with all his feathers there. I tried to tell him, you know, in Indian culture, the chief wore that headdress with all those feathers on it ceremoniously, you know, certain occasions. He didn't wear it all the time. Everybody knew he was a chief just by recognizing him. You know, he didn't need a head man, but anyway. He gets all his information. He's learned to speak Indian from the Lone Ranger. I told him, no, that's not the way. That's their version, 50s version of an Indian trying to speak English. Kimosabi, me go now, me check 'em. All right, there you go. I'm rambling. I talked too long, 30 minutes. Yeah, that's my thoughts on counterfeits and everything. I don't particularly like them. You do whatever you want to do. I don't like Temu, but go ahead. You know, you buy them. I like buying from. I can buy from other Chinese companies that have something similar just to get an idea if I like it. And, you know, this would be a very good example right here. I like Brother Watchman, and I like their knives and everything. Straight up about what the steel is. I think it's probably accurate, you know. And this is all right. I mean, it works okay. Works for me. But yeah, there you go. 30 minutes. I've reached my limit. Even Peppy. Hey, sorry, I fall asleep. Yeah. You say something? No, I haven't said anything. I'm just seeing what you're doing over here. So yeah, there you go. Don't necessarily make this a hate fest or anything. You know, people are gonna have different opinions. Some people say they like it, some don't. Don't fight amongst yourselves. You know, you can still argue, you know, disagree and everything. But yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.